So yeah, this version over here is the one we printed on the encaustic board. We've got the really light version here and the darker version that we printed onto the tissue. And again, so I could use a different color now. In fact, why not? Let's try that. I am going to use I'm going to go for an India ink magenta.
Very nice.
Nice bright color.
So brighten up the weather.
Yeah, we need a bit of brightness. I'm probably not doing this in the right way. As I said, well, actually, but earlier when I did this, I literally put a tiny little piece on a tray. I just happened to have this rocking around in the other room. For a small piece, when I was doing the little dove, that worked quite nicely, and I was able to tease the wax out and just sort of dab the excess off around it. But this
it's a dove white.
Sorry?
Isn't it dove white?
Yeah, purple in my experience. Yeah, artistic license and all of that.
Okay.
So I'm going to use this. So obviously this stamp is too big for the thing I've got over there. I don't want to use a load of ink on here, so I'm just going to use. I haven't actually tried this yet, so we will find out. But I'm just going to dab it on a bit of kitchen towel, because I'm hoping that this is going to just give me enough.
Yeah, you can see it on there, can't you? Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. There might be a better way to go about it, but without thinking it through or playing around. I'm just going to go over that. Actually, I might go somewhere in the middle. Oh, interesting. It's not come out as well as it did on my example.
Just about like as if it's soaked into the tissue, not into your...
No, it's on the wax. It's just not adhering on the wax as well.
Oh, right.
So I did it with the Memento ink earlier on one of these coloured boards, and that came out really nicely. So another try. But it might be because there was a lot more texture on that one.
Is that still quite warm, that wax?
It's cooled. It might be so well to give it another
right, yeah.
heat.
No, I was more wondering if it was warm, whether it had kind of absorbed more into the wax.
That particular ink isn't working as well for that version. This is where I think that stays on version that you had, Paula, will work better.
Yeah, you can get that in other colours.
Can you?
Yeah, the stays on. Yeah, I've
got any for myself. Let me put the ink thing back on that. When I was using the Bombay inks earlier, I was stamping onto the tissue. So,
right, yeah.
Down on the top. So that's there where little doves that was sticking to.
That's sweet.
I suppose you could kind of maybe use it a little bit on a brush or something, just to.
Yeah, no, I was doing that earlier with the putting it on a small scale, just with a brush. I've got some. Yeah, I was just using a little. Which way around am I going? Little. One of those small stamps. As I say, it's not. I have stamping in this way. I stamp on tissue a lot and embed, as we just did. But I have, in terms of putting things on top, I don't do that as much. But that one's worked better with a different kind of ink.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. So that one in the middle, so you can see how you put them up.
Yeah, but I quite like that bit of colour you got, sort of just.
Yeah, it just kind of adds a little bit to it, doesn't it? So
interest.
But where I've used this technique before is and actually rather than using a stamp, so I had a painting of a. Let me take this off me being huge a minute whilst we're. Oh, that's the wrong way. I had a pencil drawing of a lady that I had drawn years and years ago when I was a teenager, and I took an image of that, which I actually did a photo technique thing, and printed her onto tissue paper, and then I embedded layers. So where I've got this technique here, or this thing where you can just see a little bit coming through, the more layers you added up, I think I had about 4 or 5 layers of her embedded within the wax. So you can see a tiny bit, then another.
Have you got her here? Have you got her there?
No, she's sold now. I haven't got her anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a really nice technique where you just I kept on, or just adjusted the image across a little bit, so you could just see whispers of, an ear or an eye or a face, but it was there, but kind of got stronger as you came forward, and it was just a really nice technique to use. So going to sort of give another idea. But yeah, I would kind of keep building up with that. So I mean, the primary thing of this was to show different ways of adding the stamps. So just take the ideas and then apply them to your work, but think about underneath, within, and then on top. And of course, you can keep on building them up. So what I'm going to do is just add one more layer of wax and see what we're looking like, and then I'd probably add some more colours and things. And then we'll see if we've got any questions. So I've got myself to that point. See, okay?
Yep.
Add another layer. And it always just gets that bit more translucent, and you lose parts and you find parts.
So I tried to, because I've never really managed to do a mixed media sort of image that I like.
Right.
But I sort of tried to do it on a bit of a small piece of canvas because I didn't have any mount board. And what I did wrong, I think, was I put a layer of medium on before I added anything onto the canvas.
You can do that too. Yeah, you can do it. There's no one right or wrong way. So if you go to that section in the Art and Magic of Encaustic, let me spin this around quickly. If you go to that section so there's there are 2 or 3 videos. We go through essential equipment. There's sections on health and safety and essential equipment, and we get into like the building of your layers. So we start by applying 2 layers of encaustic medium. And add those, and so on all those first practice pieces, we kick off with 2 layers of encaustic medium. So as you've just said, yours were 2 layers on canvas. Do check out the substrate things. If it's too much give in them, they can crack. But for playing, as you say, if you haven't got it, then by all means, I actually use mount card in that section just for practicing and playing, and it's if you're not too big a scale, that can be a really nice substrate for it. And yeah, all of those start off literally with 2 layers of medium, and then I start adding on top of that. And then as we get further down, I talk about colouring from underneath the wax. So
right. Oh, okay.
yeah, as I say, I mean, there are eight different videos in there that you'll find that show you different ways of colouring the wax. So yeah, and they're basically sort of variations and themes on this. So can you see how that's? I haven't fused this yet. So again, pushed it back, but you've got that nice uniform layer. So let's give that a quick use a minute.
Would the fusing work with a hairdryer? Because I haven't got a hot air gun.
No, the hairdryer doesn't get it hot enough.
They what?
The hairdryer, a standard hairdryer won't get it hot enough.
Oh, right. Okay.
You really need something hot.
Yeah.
Some people use an embossing tool. Looking to see if I can get. Yeah. So no, really, you need something like a DIY hairdryer. Some people use like a creme brulee torch or a heat gun.
I don't do creme brulees.
Like a
yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? I keep thinking heat gun, but it's not. This is a heat gun.
Like a blowtorch
thing.
Yeah.
Which gives it a nice flame. But I just always started using this, and I just feel really comfortable. I can control it really nicely, and I control it by how high I close here that I use it. I have a naked flame that I'm worrying about. Well, actually, in my first studio, they literally said they wouldn't allow me in my contract to use the blowtorch. So,
you might catch him on fire.
They were a bit concerned I'd blow the place up. But so yeah, I kind of got used to that, and. Oh, interesting. It's actually almost this is getting really translucent. I don't know if it's going to come. Can you see? It's almost
it's looking
like little layers.
Yeah. Moving a bit. Yeah.
So, and that's
like 3D.
Yeah. Because I'm talking, I can see I haven't quite fused it enough on this corner. I've got a lot of texture on this side that I've missed while I've been talking.
Oh yeah.
Can you see that? So I've just another fuse to kind of blend that out a bit more. But yeah, that's basically how we just kind of keep on building up, and then it might be that you've got different stamps, or perhaps you've got a really bold. And if you came in with like the Saison or a really solid ink, or even another, I haven't got so many things. Okay, say we're using a different stamp here, but I mean you could almost just sort of have a large, just a cutout of flowers, for example, in a larger thing. So you've got all of it in the background, and then you've got one really solid piece here as a finished piece. So it's
or a bit of sort of coloured tissue or something like that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I feel like it needs a bit more colour. But I do quite like this, particularly for a nostalgic feel. I think the tissue paper really lends itself to that sort of nostalgic. This this blue I think works really nicely for the just adding a little touch of colour but kind of keeping it really soft. The black I find, even where you've done it, I find it quite harsh. Whereas the blue I think is quite soft and just sort of
the black shows out, stands out, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. But if you want a bit of if you want to push back, then
softness,
use way up. Use different inks for it is what I'm trying to and then bring the black in as you move forward through the thing. So I mean I would keep playing with this now, and as I always say, I'm better at when I'm painting, I'm not so good at talking and painting at the same time. I need to be completely focused on it. But I would probably keep building this up, and I really like this section. I think that section works. I do. There's definitely something more here. I will probably keep playing with that after the call and build something else. But hopefully it's enough to give you an idea.
But would you use any coloured waxes on it or not?
Yeah, you can do. You can go in with coloured waxes. You could use your stylus and pick out the flowers if you wanted to. You can add your colours on top, and you go in.
You could put a butterfly in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, you could do that too. Absolutely.
Would you need the different wax blocks though? Because I've got the Art Encaustic ones.
No, so I mean, in an ideal world, nothing's this is all RNF, the higher heat waxes that we're using so far. But if I would use, I've got a video again in the Art Magic where I show an example where I've used the whole base has been RNF, and then I've used a little bit of the Art Encaustic blocks just to add that colour at the end.
Oh, right. Oh, go on, I'll have a look.
I do that quite regularly. As long as you're not using the Art Encaustic in this scenario for the whole base. I often just use a little bit if I haven't got the colour of the RNF. But equally, you can use oil paints. You can use pan pastels are beautiful with this at this stage as well. Anything that's not acrylic, or I keep adding coloured papers. I've used strips from magazines.
Why not acrylic?
Acrylic doesn't work. It just doesn't fix and work well with encaustic. It's it's not a
right.
I mean, there are ways around it, but that's a whole other thing. As a general rule, just say encaustic doesn't work with acrylic. But I could have a real strip of colour and add in here, and I've done that where I've completely coloured my tissue and then added another layer. But again, can you see, like, I just like that it's like mixed media.
Yeah.
Just embedding it within the wax.
That sort of less is more. Yeah.
Absolutely. And equally, you can add colours. You can just starting to mix it up really. I think I showed at the start of the session, but kind of got coloured ones here. These are just pieces I've been playing with.
I've got the music.
I love it. Adding a little bit of music, just again, just sort of evokes another emotion or another thought going on.
Yeah.
You can highlight. Oh, actually, I've got a couple of these in there. Didn't realise I can.
Oh yeah.
This is a tissue. I wouldn't say they're a finished piece that I would want to use in that way. But you could use. I think this has just been playing, to be honest. I think it might even be a test piece that was used during the workshop that we were doing, playing around with. But you can add all these different sort of elements to it, or you can go in with coloured waxes and just add. But I do like the music. I think it's showing.
Yeah, that makes that goes well. Yeah.
So have a look around, see what sort of things you've got. Mix up your own stamps. Have a play and report back. See what you can find.
Indeed, yeah.
Don't expect miracles.
Let me see if I can unpin.